Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
All right, welcome to Undisputed Live from Los Angeles. I'm Jamie Maggio, along with Chris Broussard, Rob Parker, and Greg Jennings. Good morning, fellas. Looking sharp this morning.
Good morning. You're
What's
looking
happening?
beautiful, too.
Good morning. And you know, they spruce me up to make up for these two guys what they might lack as far as debate stuff.
Taking one for the
okay.
team.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's a lot of spruce.
Got your hair cut and everything.
Huh? See?
All right, I see.
You guys are
They
all
couldn't
looking
take the
sharp.
gray out, though, so we'll just...
We'll work on that for tomorrow. All right, on the show today, we are going to talk about more issues with the Patriots, Lonzo and Kuzma's social media beef, and we've got a full World Cup preview, but we are going to start, fellas, this morning with LeBron James. He can opt out of his current deal and become a free agent in a couple of weeks. Now, all the speculation is about where he'll go next. The betting odds give the Sixers the second best chance to land LeBron, but Charles Barkley does not think the King would be a good fit in Philly. Take a listen.
I just want to know if he's coming to the Sixers. Why?
He's not coming to the Sixers.
Why
He's
not?
fit with the Sixers because he needs the ball. Simmons needs the ball, and Embiid needs the ball. That would make Simmons, who's going to be a stud, I think, he'd be useless. But he's not going to give the ball up at this stage of his career. He's not a great shooter, so you can't play him off the ball. He's not going to change.
Pretty good shooter in this year's playoffs.
Oh, dude, listen, I guarantee you guys will let him shoot threes all night. Guys would love him to shoot threes when it would hurt Embiid and Simmons going forward.
You don't want a useless Ben Simmons out there, that's for sure. Rob, let's start with you on this one. What do you think? LeBron and Philly, is that a good fit?
I think it's a good fit. I get Charles's point. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. I don't think there's too many perfect fits for LeBron anyway, where everything is going to be perfect. But in this case, when you have two young stars, Embiid and Simmons, you got to try to make it work. When Chris Paul went to Houston, everybody said that won't work because they both need the basketball. All they know is they ran off the best record in the league and went 7 games with the defending champs and lost in the 7th game, and Chris Paul was hurt for the final 2. So I get it. It's not perfect, but I do think if I'm LeBron, I'm going to stay in the East and team up with two young stars. And we saw them last year at different times when they had that thing rolling. Yep. And if LeBron is willing to make an adjustment and let Simmons be that guy to handle the basketball, I think it can work, and I think that would give him the best chance. And I also
That would be
think,
your choice, that he goes to Philly.
to Philly. And I also think, Chris, look at it from this standpoint, is that I think it presents a matchup problem with the Warriors out of all the teams, and you look at what happened. Even Cleveland out-rebounded them and dominated the boards and gave them a little bit of a, if there's one thing you could do. If you think you're going to go out there and outshoot the Warriors and play that game, it's not going to work. You're not going to beat them at that game, so that's not the game you need to try to look to set up.
Look, it's easy for us to say what we think is going to happen with LeBron, and the unknown is always out there. But I'm with Charles Barkley on this one. The more I look at this and dig deeper in it, I just don't see how it works. I understand your point in saying you have to make it work, but when you talk about usage, most people are going to think, man, Ben Simmons, his usage of the ball is probably higher than anybody on that Sixers team. Well, it's not. His usage was 22%, 84th in the league last year. Joel Embiid usage, meaning I need the ball in my hand, I have the ball in my hand, 34%. 3rd in the NBA last season. Behind who? Westbrook and James Harden.
But remember, usage rate is shooting, shots, and passes.
Absolutely.
It's not dribbling the ball.
I totally
That's
get
different.
I understand
standing there
that.
dribbling.
And then when you look at how they play, Ben Simmons and LeBron James' game is very similar. They're both pass-first guys. LeBron is obviously more of a scorer. But when I look at who needs to play off the ball, you want LeBron playing off the ball because he's a better shooter. He's not an exceptional shooter, but he's the better shooter. Ben Simmons is not a proven scorer. Forget a shooter, just a scorer in general. Can he get to the rack? Absolutely. But
All
if he gets fouled,
his free
but if
throws.
he
makes his free throws,
that's a big if.
He was 18. What do you have? 18, 8, and 8 his rookie year.
Oh, he was great.
Right?
I understand all of that. That's a big if. But then another thing that I look at that I think Charles is looking at as well is every big man that LeBron plays with ends up extending behind the three-point line. You got Chris Bosh when it went down to Miami. His presence was felt inside and out in Toronto. Got to Miami, his presence inside was almost eliminated. He became more of a perimeter guy. Kevin Love, the same can be said about him. Joel Embiid already has extended outside the three-point line, but his main presence is felt. He imposes his will on opponents when he is established in the post. And with LeBron James and Ben Simmons on the court at the same time, both are dry first guys, you need that big man to extend, and that takes away from what Joel Embiid does best, which is dominate the post.
I think this needs to be said for the audience. Charles Barkley was just stating his opinion. All right, this is not coming from LeBron telling Charles, I'm not going to, this wasn't a report. This is his opinion. And I get where he's coming from. And I felt the same way until I talked to somebody that would know, close to LeBron James. And I voiced the same concerns. Like, I don't want LeBron taking the ball out of Ben Simmons' hands. I don't think it would work. And this person said LeBron wants to play off the ball. I shot back. He's never played off the ball in his life. Forget the 15 years in the NBA. In his life.
He's always had the ball.
High school, he's always had the ball. This person told me that's because he's never had playmakers that make plays for other guys. Now, Dwayne Wade and Kyrie Irving obviously made plays for themselves and occasionally other guys, but they weren't playmakers, pass first guys. And I was told with Ben Simmons, or you could extend this to Lonzo Ball if you want in LA, that if LeBron has a teammate that will set other guys up, he would love to play off the ball. Now, that's easier said than done. A lot of people would say, just habit. Your game is your game. But Chris Paul showed us this year, he's played on the ball more than LeBron. And he was able to make the adjustment to a large degree in Houston.
And look at the success that they had.
Yeah, so I think Philly is a good fit. Look, LeBron has handled the ball maybe 60% of the time when he had Kyrie say. I would like to see that go down to about 10% with Ben Simmons, because Simmons occasionally is good off the ball, posting up and things like that. I don't think the Embiid thing will be an issue. And I think where Charles got it wrong is he said that, he was saying LeBron's not an outside shooter, so he can't be off the ball. This is not going to be a Houston situation where you just plant LeBron on the three-point line and wait for Ben Simmons to pass him the ball. LeBron off the ball in Philly would be a little bit of post, on the wings, on the elbows, moving without the ball. And I think at this point in his career, that could save him some wear and tear. So, look, it's not a perfect fit, but what I like is, one, he stays in the East, and two, theoretically, he could lead Embiid and Simmons to the finals or maybe championships while he's still the best player in the world for maybe 2 more years.
We just saw him take the team that he took with the Cavaliers.
Well, there's no doubt they'd get to the finals. If he goes to Philly or Boston, they're getting to the finals. But as he ages and those two reach their prime, they could theoretically carry him kind of like Magic did with Kareem, and then you start racking up the titles.
LeBron is beating father time right now. I can't even think about considering wear and tear in his career because he's just shown no signs of slowing down. But do you also think it's important for him to stay in the Eastern Conference?
I think it's smart because, look, he said he's chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan, okay? One of the major arguments for LeBron in this GOAT discussion will be how many finals he's been at. He may not win 6, but if he wins 5 and he's been to 11 or 12, then that's a good argument in his case, especially if he's been to 8 straight. If he goes to 9, 10 straight, which is feasible if he stays in the East, that's a big time argument. If you can say, look, LeBron was in the finals 70% of his career. Michael Jordan was in the finals 6 out of 15 years with around 40%, whatever that is.
If LeBron doesn't win anymore.
Well, he's got to win more.
That thing doesn't
But it could. I think it could even be a losing record. It could be 5-6, 5-7. But 12 finals, 11 finals is impressive.
It can't be 3-9 or something of that magnitude.
No, I think staying in the East bodes well for LeBron and cementing himself as the GOAT in majority opinion.
In some people's opinion.
Some people.
He'll never. And I probably never will.
I say majority because when you have so many who has not seen or never got an opportunity to see Michael Jordan in his prime or at all, but you've seen, to your point, a guy every single year, win or lose.
No, but see,
from start to finish.
I'm not saying that's the definitive.
But it's a huge.
That'll be big.
It's a huge part of it because we constantly are talking about LeBron James from the start of the season to the end.
Being a prisoner of the moment. I know there are great players. I didn't watch Willie Mays play in his day or Babe Ruth, but I know that they were great. So I get it. This whole idea, people are acting like Michael Jordan played in the 40s. This whole notion, I mean, really? Just because LeBron is playing now?
No,
he's 3-6 in the finals.
Where I think where Greg makes some sense. And first of all, you sure you didn't watch Babe Ruth?
No, I didn't watch Babe Ruth. I've been around for a while.
But I think your point, and I've said it, 10, 15 years from now, if LeBron gets another ring or two, I do think he will be regarded by many or most as the GOAT. Because here's the thing, older people, ask Oscar Robertson, ask Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, ask people of that generation. They don't say Jordan's the GOAT. But now, they don't disrespect him.
But you can't ask those guys because they're involved.
But my point is this.
Those guys are never going to give in.
Even
because
as people that age that didn't play. My point is, we're driving the conversation right now.
Absolutely.
In 10, 15 years, the millennials, half of whom or more already think LeBron's the GOAT. They're going to be driving the conversation. If they can point to 5 rings, 11 trips to the finals, 10, 11 straight trips to the finals, they're going to feel like it's a done deal.
And my only issue with that is they're trying to convince you now without the 5 rings that he is, and he's 3-6. So they're just being a prisoner of the moment. They're not even looking at, and they act as if Michael Jordan won 10 scoring championships in a row. They act like it's just 6-0. When you go look, he has more MVPs, more Defensive Player of the Year awards, more steals. He has so many more things. And they look at it right now and say, oh, he's already passed.
You can't say it now. I'm just saying he's got to win a few more.
Yes.
If he wins a few more.
I think unanimously at this table, I think we all would say Jordan.
Yeah.
But to Chris's point, we are not the who will be driving this conversation in 5 years. It's not going to be you and I. So the point is, if I've watched someone from the start of the season to the very last game of the season for, let's say he plays another 4 or 5 years. For 20 years, he's done it. He's been to the finals, 8, 9?
8 straight.
9 total. He gets to the finals 4 more times. That's 12 out of 20. Like, I've been watching this guy. You've
also seen him lose in the big moments. There was somebody who stopped me the other day in the mall and said, you know what? You finally got me. I finally gave in. I said, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, LeBron. And even though nobody expected him to win the championship, the way it went down, there were people who soured. You've heard people you know what? I don't know if I can still make that argument with as much steam and bluster as I did prior to this NBA final.
Just for fun, should we throw out Kobe Bryant in this conversation?
No.
Because regionally,
No.
I got shut down really fast.
All-time great player, top 10
But he's
player.
not in that conversation.
But in this town, I think people would beg to differ.
But the problem with Kobe is that Shaq was the best player on that team for when they won those 3 championships. Yeah. He was the most dominant player in the league and the best player. He wasn't even the best player on his team.
Kobe just wasn't, to me, one of the big factors in why he's not in it. One, he wasn't as efficient as those two. He's like a facsimile of Michael Jordan, but just not quite as good. Never shot over 46% from the floor, and that's with Shaq drawing double and triple teams for 8 years. Then right in the heart of his prime, misses the playoffs on you. You can't even fathom LeBron not making the playoffs in the heart of his prime. So you nitpick with the greats. Kobe certainly an all-time
He's
great,
a great
but
player,
he's not
right.
in this discussion.
See, I don't think the number one focus has to be the championships and winning them all, because I don't think there could be another great player, let's say the best player in the sport that will clean slate the board like Jordan did. I mean, you don't see
that may be why he may
You don't-
remain the GOAT.
but exactly.
It's hard to see LeBron surpassing him. Even if you say he equals him, Jordan has that unblemished record, and that's why it's going to be tough
My
to pass.
point exactly. You see it across sports, different sports, football, basketball.
Joe Montana, 4-0 in the Super Bowl, 11 touchdowns, no picks, 3 MVPs.
I understand that. But we're talking, and is he considered
Brady-
the GOAT?
Yes, by some
I
people.
think Brady's considered the GOAT.
By some
Tom
people,
Brady
I
is
don't.
considered the GOAT.
Tom,
Why?
You're the only one.
Why?
Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice.
Brady's been there. Go ahead, finish your point. I know where you're going.
It's because he's been there.
Twice as
we
much as
constantly
Joe
see him in the Super Bowl.
Greg-
Regardless of win or lose, our expectation of Tom Brady is, man, he's going to be there again.
So, Greg, are you trying to go to the front door of the Playboy Mansion, or are you trying to get in? Which one are you?
I'm not trying to do either one.
You don't know who you're talking to.
I'm not trying to do
You're not
either
going
one.
in either.
You on your own, though. That's
My point is, Rob, most players in the league, in sports, can't even get to the pinnacle. Forget winning it all, but to say I've been there year after year after year.
Okay,
and you have to win some.
You have to
wait a
win
minute.
some.
But to your point, that Philadelphia team would present major problems for Golden State.
I think
With
so.
the length, Embiid, you don't have to get him off the floor. He can switch out and guard the perimeter guys. How in the world would Golden State try to go small against Joel Embiid?
They couldn't.
Ben Simmons is 6'10". Dario Saric and Robert Covington can shoot threes. They're 6'8", 6'9". The key would be trying to keep J.J. Redick.
They would have to keep J.J. Redick.
And he'd have to take less money. You'd have to convince him to take less to try to win a
Uh,
championship.
JJ would stay if LeBron came.
I hope so.
We say
but it's
all
about
of
money.
this. We say all of this, but we act like Golden State wouldn't make any move. Like they're just gonna stay the same.
What other moves? They got all this money tied in. What else are they going to do?
They would do. They would have to do something. And even if they did not, there has not been one player that has been able to stop Kevin Durant. If I look at the 76ers right now as they are, you add LeBron James, they still have no one that can stop Kevin Durant.
Well, nobody's stopping him, but you could put Robert Covington on him, who's a good defender. Ben Simmons was actually a really good defender this year. I mean, you could have options.
You can throw bodies.
And what you would try to do is switch. Yeah, you throw bodies at him. You're switching a lot of things. But look, you mentioned he's been to 8 straight. If he goes to Philly, like I said, by himself with those two talented players, you would think they're going to win what? The next 3 Eastern Conference titles? But then those two are so young that they're going to get better. And even as LeBron ages, I mean, theoretically, they could go another 5 straight years.
Absolutely.
Him in the finals. And if he can just win two of them or something, then you got a major argument.
I like the idea of it. I don't love the idea of it. I think we're pretty much just slapping the Boston Celtics in the face. I mean, come on now. Don't just act like they're going to lay down and say, if LeBron goes over here, we can't beat this team.
No, they won't.
Because, in my opinion, they have the X factor in Brad Stevens. That is...
Brad Stevens is the X factor.
Absolutely.
So what happened
Absolutely.
in Game 7?
Hold on.
He just said that on TV.
LeBron James.
No,
I get what you're saying because he's a great coach.
When
But put
you
LeBron
watch
on that Philly team,
yeah, put
and
Bron,
you would favor them.
favor who? The Celtics?
No, favor you would if
I would-
LeBron's in Philly, you would favor Boston.
I would favor the 76ers.
Okay.
I'm just saying we're acting as
No,
if
they'd be tough.
it wouldn't be a tough out.
I'm with you.
Like the six,
They would be tough. But you saw first of all, that Philly-Boston series could have been 4-1 the other way. What did Philly lack? A closer. The veteran leadership in the
Coaching.
clutch. I think Brett Brown's a pretty good coach. He got out-coached, no doubt, by Brad Stevens, but I think he's pretty good. But think if LeBron is there, That's the closer they need. That's that veteran leader they need. And, again, veterans who may want to try to win a title might go there to play.
The other part, too, last year, if you remember when Embiid got hurt, Ben Simmons led them to 15 straight wins. I look at stuff like that. If I'm LeBron, I look at this guy with your big guy. He's that guy. You know what I mean? It's so hard to win 15 games in a row with your big guy going down. So it tells me about him. Things didn't fall apart. That's the team. I'm with you. Long term could be really, really good.
Who are they playing in those?
It doesn't matter. It's the schedule called the NBA.
It was a little. It was a little.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is Rob Parker saying it doesn't matter?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did say that.
They won 15 in a row. I don't care if it was the Nets and the Knicks.
Here's a factor, too. Now, look, I think LeBron is probably going to the Lakers because I think that gives you the best combination of family considerations and opportunity to win. I would like my preference. That's where I think. I don't know, but that's where I think he probably is going. My preference would be Philly. Secondly, Boston. Because that's a whole nother discussion. He could go to Boston and make them really good, but I'd like to see him stay in the East. But one factor we haven't considered that LeBron may consider, we know he likes to have control. He likes to get involved with the front office decisions, personnel decisions, all that. Guess who doesn't have a GM now? Philadelphia. If he wanted, he might be able to handpick a GM, whether it's David Griffin or whoever, to go to Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
So that could be another factor
in
their favor.
Yeah. What do you think is the most important factor for LeBron as he makes this decision?
It should be about what gives him the best chance to win. The family thing, I hear all that, and I get it. You know, when you have a family, you want them to be comfortable, and the kids go in high school, and I get all that. But you only have a small amount of years to come to the Lakers as is. Now, if you're telling me he's bringing two other guys and you're scrapping the team that you
wouldn't
have,
go by himself.
that's totally different. But I'm saying to come here just to live in L.A. and play with the Lakers, I just don't see that. It would have to be where the roster's reconstructed and he's bringing the guys
or you just bring at least one more star.
You got it.
I don't know.
He wouldn't come by himself. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. That's your tease right there. We will get to
Kyrie.
that. Would it be a mistake for the Patriots to trade Gronk? We will discuss that next.
No mercy. Hey guys, it's Joy Taylor. Before the show moves along, I wanted to talk to you about Buffalo Wild Wings. This time of year brings us two things, graduations and Father's Day, and the gifts that go along with them. Before you buy Dad another tie or that grad a balloon that will probably float away, ask yourself this. Does my dad or grad like wings or sports, or better yet, both? If the answer is yes, then get them a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card. Right now, if you purchase $30 worth or more in-store or online, they'll give you a $5 bonus to keep for yourself. That's a gift that gives back. How generous of you. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. Terms and conditions apply. Now back to the show. No mercy.
Pro Football Talk reports the Patriots had trade talks with other teams about Rob Gronkowski as recently as 3 days before the draft. The Patriots reportedly wanted to move up and draft Baker Mayfield, who ended up going number 1 overall to the Browns. Last week, Gronk called speculation about a trade, quote, fake news. So, Greg, you seem like an obvious start with this one. Would it be a mistake for the Patriots to trade Gronk?
No, it would not be a mistake. And let me say this. I hate anonymous sources. I absolutely hate anonymous sources.
Greg, don't say that.
Exactly.
As a journalist,
That's the only way you get news.
We'll bash you on this. You know why? Some of the greatest stories that have ever been broken in this country in journalism come because people maybe can't put their name
Most
to
of
it.
the best
right.
stories.
The biggest stories and best Pulitzer Prize-winning stories.
Well, let
come
me
from
say
that.
that I would prefer to know who said
Can't have it
But
all the
let
time.
me just say
Snitches
this. Let me
get
just
stitches,
explain.
right?
Really quickly,
Yeah.
if you're the general manager of a team and you're trying to trade a certain player, you can't say that publicly. But if you tell a source because you want other teams to know or whatever,
know about it.
whatever
Well, you guys
reason,
let the man make
I hear all that.
That's
I'm
where
not
you can get truth out.
Look,
A
That's all
football
we're
player
saying.
talking to two sports writers.
Let him go
it's-
first.
He's
a
the
football
one
player.
who brought it there.
Yeah.
I did. I take that. It's not a mistake. I mean, you have to explore every possible option. You're talking about a guy, Rob Gronkowski, a great player, 29 years of age, been riddled with injury over the course of his eight seasons in the NFL. And then for me, I asked two questions. Are we better with him? The answer, yes. Can we win without him? The answer, again, yes. And I think the second question carries more weight, and we've seen it proven. In the course of his 8 years, he's missed 26 games. Their record is 20-6 without Rob Gronkowski on the field in the regular season. In the playoffs, he's missed 6 playoff games. Their record is 4-2, including a Super Bowl 51 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. So it's been proven that it's not Rob Gronkowski that makes the New England Patriots roll.
Yep.
It's that system. It's Tom Brady. It's Belichick. They can insert guys, but they have to have that quarterback in place and that coach in place to make sure everything runs the right way. But saying that it's a mistake, no, it's not a mistake. If you have to see what's possibly out there, what you could get for him, who would bite, if there's anybody who's willing to offer something that warrants getting rid of Rob Gronkowski, then you got to do it. I mean, it's all about doing what's best for the team. The ultimate bottom line is they didn't. And another thing that sticks out to me is I believe he said he was contemplating retirement.
Right. He said
Well, that's where,
And then they say, well, I think 2, 3, 4 days before the draft, well, we're taking trade talks on Rob Gronkowski. Oh, you know what? I'm going to play this year. Yeah, I bet you are now.
yeah. Look, I tend to believe the reports that they were in trade talks. It was that they talked with San Francisco and Tennessee and actually had trade offers on the table. One of the reasons I believe the report is because in the past, when Randy Moss, Adelius Thomas, when they came out and kind of mocked the Patriot way with a comment, with behavior, whatever it is, even Logan Mankins demanding a trade, they got traded. And Gronk has kind of done that when he was at the BMX press conference during OTAs and kind of laughed about not going to OTAs. No, I'm not going there. He's kind of mocked the Patriot way, and he wants a contract extension. And to your point, he's been injury prone throughout his career. So I'm with you in that on the football field, just talking about Gronkowski, it would not be a mistake to trade him. But the reason I disagree with you overall and say, you know what, it would be a mistake is because you said it. You need Tom Brady and the system, but Tom Brady. The reports are that Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft, the owner, and said, if you trade Gronkowski, I'm out of here. I'm retiring. So if that's the case and if that's the truth, then you have to keep him because
Chris, you
without
don't believe that for
Jimmy
1 minute.
Right. I don't believe that Brady said that.
It was an anonymous source.
He's 41 years old.
You think he would quit because they traded Gronkowski?
Obviously, there's tension between Belichick
Do you
and
know
Tom
how many?
Brady.
Do you know how many
41
players?
years old.
Do you know how many players Tom has seen come and go?
Please.
Has he ever said? Has there ever been a report that he said, if you trade him, if you cut him, I'm out of here?
I'm asking you this.
Has there ever been a really quick? Has there ever been a season where we've seen Tom Brady acting like this?
Ooh, good point.
No, and that's my point. So this may be true that he went to ownership and said, look, you trade Gronk, I'm out of here. Because why otherwise, as much as I like Gronkowski as a player, why wouldn't you do it? I won't have to pay him long term. He's been, kind of a problem with his behavior. He's been mocking the Patriot way. We won the Super Bowl without him. I would get him out of here if Brady doesn't go there and say, don't do it.
I don't believe that Tom Brady would quit over.
Do you believe that he went to Kraft and said
He
it?
probably said, I'd rather keep him around, but that he would quit and give up his career on Ron Gronkowski?
Absolutely not.
He's 41 years old.
Absolutely.
Only one guy did that, and it happened, and we saw it in Chicago when Michael Jordan said to the Bulls that he wanted Phil Jackson back, and he said, if you don't bring Phil Jackson back, I'm out of here, and he left.
Who is Jordan?
No, I'm just saying.
The GOAT. Who is Brady?
No, but he's
the GOAT.
No, he's
GOATs
the
have a lot
already
in
know
common.
that. But here on Gronk, Greg had some good numbers. I got even better numbers. The last 10 games, they're 9-1 without Gronk. This team continues to move on without him. Last year in the red zone, without him, in the red zone, their TD percentage went up, increased. Also, third down, basically unchanged without Gronkowski. So all I'm saying is, it's about Tom Brady, and he's been throwing to different people. You can get somebody in. People forget, the late Aaron Hernandez was a tight end who was drafted in the same draft,
Absolutely.
4th round. He put up some really good numbers. Tom Brady threw to him before Gronk came into play or whatever. So you put another tight end there. I'm not saying he's going to be exactly Gronk, but he'll be there. This guy, all he talks about now is he wants to be in the WWE and make movies. It's everything but football.
But that's been Gronk since the beginning.
No, but this is, to me, at this
You're
point,
making my point.
It's more. It just seems like it's endless now. And I hear you with the frat boy mentality, and we've seen all the pictures in the video. But I'm just saying at this point, the Patriots have a history of letting somebody go a year too early rather than a year too late. And he's a perfect example of moving him now rather
While
than
he
waiting.
still has trade value.
Why didn't they move him?
I'm just
Because
saying.
Tom Brady, you just made
Wasn't
my
there a
point.
little quarterback
There's so many
controversy
other
though with
reasons.
Brady?
Was that your report?
No.
I mean, because
Obviously.
man.
No, but I'm
You write
saying
for the Boston Globe
you
now?
guys playing it, and I agree. There are all these reasons to trade Gronk, but they didn't.
No one said,
Something
Chris.
had to happen.
But Chris,
and I think it was
I'm
Tom
not
Brady.
saying that Tom didn't go to the owner. We already know he won the tug of war with Belichick, with the owner
Garoppolo.
Kraft, right? Over that. So I got that. I'm telling you, Tom Brady would not quit his career over Rob Gronkowski.
Maybe not, but it maybe would threaten to quit. And that's all I'm saying. If he threatens it, Kraft doesn't know that for sure. Now that Garoppolo's gone, you have to have Tom Brady.
I think the point that we're making is it's not a mistake if they decided to trade him.
If Tom Brady's going to
but-
quit, it is, and that's all you need.
But on the flip side of it, he does make them a better offensive team. Like, let's not just disregard what he has been able to do when he is healthy and when he is prevalent in that offense. He is one of the most, if not the most dominant offensive threat in the NFL when healthy, and there is no answer for him. And they use him to that point, into that regard, in that level. And so for us to say that he's just tradable, yeah, he is tradable because anybody in this league is tradable. That's just the nature of this sport. But they can win without Rob Gronkowski.
I agree with
Bottom line, and to your report that you reported that you're not
I
saying,
didn't report. It's not my
which
report.
is why I'm feeling like you attacked the anonymous
not my report.
the anonymous deal earlier. Like, I mean, you had to have had some type of say in this report.
No, I had nothing to do. Know that. I can't even remember the guy's name, but it's Boston Globe, I think, or
I can't remember.
somewhere
Yeah,
in Boston.
I bet
that
you
came
can't
out. It had
remember.
nothing to do with me.
Yeah, okay.
Should we move on?
Let's move on.
I think you each have a
I think
career
I-
in
I
politics
think I won
ahead of
that
you.
one.
It's a very
That's
good
a
argument
look,
both
Tom
sides.
Brady. That's all you need to say. That's a drop the mic moment.
Is it really?
If Tom Brady threatens to quit, you can't trade Gronk.
Didn't Tom Brady
And it would
fumble
be
a
a
football
mistake.
with 2.5 minutes to go in the Super
Come
Bowl?
on, man. Come on. He also threw for 500 yards.
Is it about points or yards? Which one
He's
matters?
won 5, Rob.
Is it
Or
about
rings.
points or
Rob.
yards?
5 rings.
All right.
5 rings.
Stop it.
No mercy.
Next up, the Lakers basically just gave their young stars Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma a timeout. The team told both players to tone down their trash talking on social media. Kuzma called out Lonzo to Bleacher Report recently, and Lonzo followed that up with a diss track earlier this week. The track included a line about Kuzma not knowing his biological dad. Chris, let's begin with you on this one. Good move by the Lakers to step in and tell these youngins to tone it down?
Yeah, good move.
Yeah.
Look, from all I know, they're close. I had Kyle Kuzma on my podcast about a month ago. He said his best friend on the team is Lonzo Ball. You watch them on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. They're always going back and forth at one another. And you know, Greg, I mean, that's what teammates do. The difference in nowadays is that with social media, it can be done in a much more public fashion. Now, I would not have minded the rap. I mean, first of all, let's back up. Kuzma did start this latest round by going on Bleacher Report, doing something player hater of the year or something like that, where he went at Lonzo. And he talked about Lonzo's jump shot or lack thereof. And, you know, he went at Lonzo, the way he dresses, all that stuff. Lonzo came back and threw down the trump card with the rap song and the diss track. And I would have been fine with the diss track. I mean, I think he definitely one-upped Kuzma. But as you said earlier, he went too far, in my opinion. I mean, saying you don't know your biological, you don't know your dad, who your dad is and all that. That's where this thing went too far. I don't know that the Lakers would have stepped in, and I don't think there would have really been the need to step in if he had not gone that far. And even if Kuzma says, man, it wasn't no big deal or tries to laugh it off, I have to imagine that that would sting you and maybe even make you reconsider your relationship with this guy, even if you only do it privately. So the Lakers had to step in. And secondly, just real quick, how's LeBron James looking at this?
Right, exactly.
Is he looking at this as a circus? He's already shown that he doesn't really like playing with young kids. Now you got young kids acting like crazy. So it could be a deterrent. That's
it is a kiddie show. They're 20 and 22 years old, so they're young. But this is not a good look outwardly when you're trying to become a free agent destination.
No, absolutely. And I'm with you. I mean, I get it. Teammates playing around. But the father thing is just, to me, I don't know how you come back from that, really. Like, because those are, you could joke it off all you want or whatever. It does sting. Yeah. I just think that no matter who it is, that whole notion that you would put that out there publicly and throw that at me. Okay, yep, you got a dad, he raised your 3 sons, and that's all cool. But then to use that as a way of hurting me and putting it out in the public. So if I just think the Lakers did the right thing in saying, okay, let's stop this because it's not a good look for the organization. This is the Lakers about winning championships, and they got 2 of their young rookies, one who had a really good rookie year and the other one who didn't live up to Billy.
Who had a really good rookie year.
Who did not have a good rookie year. Man. He didn't. He didn't live up to
10-7-7 ain't
Stop.
bad.
That's not 18-8-8.
His numbers were the same as Jason Kidd's.
No, it wasn't. He shot 45% from the free throw line.
Jason Kidd didn't shoot well as a rookie
45% from the free throw line.
He had work to do.
No,
but I'm just saying, let's not act like he was a bust.
That's
all.
He was a bust his
rookie
year.
Man,
he was.
This was a great move by the Lakers, simply because at some point you can go too far, and it went too far. And for 2 young guys, I get creating diss tracks and whatnot, but to start attacking teammates, one another, and knowing you have to go within that locker room, you have to work together, you have to find chemistry and a rapport with one another, and then you've created now this potential opportunity for there to be some type of tension or for someone to feel some type of way. You can't have that. And if I'm the Lakers, if I'm management, I have to put a stop to it. I have to tell them, look, God, it's time. You have to grow up. Yeah. You have to, and you shouldn't be needing someone to tell you when it's time to stop. When you're at this stage in your career, you're trying to win games. You haven't proven that you can win games. You haven't even proven that you are going to be a great player in this league. Kuzma has shown some signs of that, but Lonzo Ball, you have work to do. Like, don't give us anything to talk about other than the fact that, like, you're working.
And you know what the
you're
difference
getting better.
Too? Basketball is just one ball. Do I pass it to him? We're running down. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of stuff. Other teams where it's offense and defense, I might not even come into contact with him playing the game. Basketball, you can't get away from it. Well, you know what I mean? You're constantly I'm on the court. He didn't give me the ball. I start to think, oh, did he not give me the ball? I was open because of some issue. Then you start messing with your head, and all of a sudden you're not playing.
Look, I think Lonzo probably thinks it wasn't that big of a deal. And, I mean, if this is legitimately a friend, he's probably thinking it's a joke in a fun-loving way. Wow. Thought it was a clever line, whatever. But here's the thing. D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young, a couple years ago, D'Angelo Russell thought it was all in fun, too. You know, when he filmed him, and I don't think he meant for it necessarily to get out the way it did. He told Nick right away, oh, I just filmed you saying you were cheating on your girlfriend. He thought it was in fun, but it was a serious thing. It was a lack of judgment. And for Lonzo Ball, look, a lot of players in the league don't have a relationship or may not even know their father. How could this sit with other players
people
in other places?
That's a great point.
I mean, that's across sports. That's extended beyond sports.
It's across society.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a touchy subject in and of itself.
Have you ever seen anything like that in a locker room? This kind of ribbing?
I mean, I've seen a lot in the locker room, but to publicly start doing, you're taking it too far.
Right.
Like within what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
What was the worst thing they ever did to you?
Yeah.
We don't have enough time.
You know what? That's a good point. Let's say that even in the context of the locker room, Lonzo and Kuzma are going at each other, playing the dozens, ribbing each other, whatever. That's fine. Everybody's laughing. It's all in good. If Lonzo said, you don't know who your dad is, all of a sudden, it changes everything.
It was a low blow.
And so that's where this thing really could be problematic.
And Kuzma's mom ended up weighing in on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it tells you all you need to know, that she even
Exactly.
felt compelled
to say something.
Because she knew it hurt.
Without question.
Yeah.
So again, two young guys that have to understand who they are and what platform they have and the influence and the look that this is not just on themselves, but on the Los Angeles Lakers.
LeBron. I think that's the other part. If you're LeBron and you're just peeping in and looking at this, that's why when everybody keeps talking about him coming to the Lakers, I just say it can't be with the roster that they have. It just can't be. It goes against
they do
what
have
he likes to
room
play.
for one more max player.
Right.
So.
Yeah, what I've said, I said this on Undisputed a few days ago. If I'm the Lakers, I'm seriously looking at doing this. Signing LeBron or trying to sign LeBron and Chris Paul, who we know he would love to play with, as free agents into those two max slots, you said, and then trading some of these young guys, Lonzo, Kuzma.
You said Lonzo had a great rookie
Kuzma.
year.
Yeah, you got to keep Kuzma.
Hold on. To get for Paul George, if I'm Oklahoma City and I'm going to lose Paul George for nothing, then I would gladly take a Lonzo Ball, a Brandon Ingram, or whatever else I can get from the Lakers. I agree. Kuzma would be the one guy I would want to keep because of his shooting, and you would need three-point shooting with that group. But the Lakers, look, I agree. LeBron is not going there by himself. I think he would go there with a Paul George, and maybe you keep these young guys. Or, like I said, they could trade some of these young guys and strengthen the roster.
Don't you wish, though, instead of making that diss track, he'd be in the weight room, spending his time a little more wisely?
Or how about shooting free throws?
There you go.
But here's my thing. See, that's where I don't have a problem with him making a video or rapping, because that doesn't mean you're not in the weight room. That doesn't mean you're not working on your free throw
optics,
shoot.
though, Chris. It doesn't look good.
Hold on.
It just doesn't look good.
Shaq made Kazam. Shaq made a rap album
Whoa.
long before they won titles.
But you're putting them on the same level.
But when Shaq stepped foot in the league, he made an impact.
Yes.
Of course, he's not as good as Shaq.
Didn't they go to the finals in Orlando before he came to LA?
You know, as covering the NBA, these guys, they might go to the facility at 9 a.m., they get taped, they get stretched, whatever. They practice for 2 hours. Then they might stay another hour or two in the weight room, whatever. You have a whole entire day.
You do.
What's the difference than him making a video and him going to Cabo for 2 weeks playing on the beach?
When did Michael Jordan's album come out? Let me know. Tell me when his album came out.
Hold on. If I said, how about Kobe? Kobe rapped. Chris Webber rapped, Allen Iverson rapped, Damian Lillard rapped.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
Now they're better than Lonzo.
The names you're listing.
But the names you're listing, how many of them got championships?
You brought up Jordan.
No, I'm saying.
You brought up Jordan.
I'm asking you how many of them have championships, the ones you just named. Damian
Lillard doesn't, Webber doesn't.
Webber does't. Keep
Shaq
going.
didn't when he did the album.
But my point
Kobe
is,
didn't when he made his rap
the
song.
optics are bad when you had such a lukewarm first season that everybody, you were the second overall pick. It was disappointing,
Right.
Chris, whether or not you said you'll take 10, 7, and 7. It wasn't a good 10, 7,
For
and
a
7.
rookie, that's not
He had the
bad.
second worst shooting percentage of any rookie from the field. He had the worst free throw shooting of any rookie 45%. Shaq played
I'm
19
just saying he
years.
can't do anything else. You know that.
I'm with you. There's so much downtime, and there's only so much time you can spend working on your game. But
he's also got an empire with his family that he's working on, too.
To Rob's point, though, when you are brought in and there's this expectation that precedes you, to put this out there is just not a good look. I'm not saying you can't do it,
just doesn't
but
look right.
but to allow us to see this more than what we're seeing, what you need to be doing, even though you're doing it, for us to be seeing this.
Would you feel this way if the line about the father wasn't in there? And he just made a diss track. Because when he made his mixtape a few months ago, nobody had a problem.
No,
I did.
We were still saying the same thing. The same thing, the same
You were
narrative.
saying he shouldn't put out a mixtape.
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying the optics, to Rob's point, it just doesn't look
These
good.
optics don't look good. I mean, come on.
What you trying to say?
I think you look good, Rob.
I'm just saying, like, let's just be realistic.
No,
there's a number of things he could be doing, and we would say it's fine. They went and made a video with his family. You know, that's all it was.
Chris, you don't even look at you. You're not even buying
No,
it.
I think it's fine. I'm just saying that doesn't mean you're not working on your free throw shooting.
No, it doesn't.
LeBron James is up. Now, granted, again, a much better player
Please
than
don't put
Lonzo.
him in the same
But he's a
conversation.
business mogul. I mean, guys are doing other things while they're playing the game.
I think the Lakers, the last few years, really have to worry about their image, to the rest of the league. And this is a huge summer for them. It's very high stakes, and you need to really play your cards right if you want to turn the franchise around. And this whole part, them going back and forth, I thought it was great. These rookies get along. It's good camaraderie, but it's just gone too far.
No question
And I think
about
we're all in agreement on that. But, this is a high stakes summer for the Lakers.
It is. I mean, everybody, if they don't come back with LeBron James, and we've seen their free agent signings recently.
Or lack thereof.
And they haven't been good. And I think that people are looking to see what are the Lakers doing. Remember, they had some money before at the end of Kobe's career, and nobody wanted to come here.
Mm-hmm.
They had to beg.
They went after Carmelo,
Right?
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Carmelo lives in
People thought
Los
they might get
Angeles,
Russell
didn't want to
Westbrook.
play
Yep.
here. I mean,
This is a huge part of why you bring Magic to the front office and allow him to become the face of that organization and that franchise to entice these guys to come to this place because he had success and he can speak to the success of the franchise better than anyone else.
Let me say this quickly about LeBron.
Quickly.
Typically, he doesn't let he's going to go where he wants to go. With Cleveland, he didn't like the owner, Dan Gilbert, but he wanted to go back to Northeast Ohio. With David Blatt, who was a coach he had never even heard of.
Yeah.
He didn't let that stop him. Now, if he really wants to go to the Lakers, he won't let this stop him. But like he did with David Blatt, when he gets in there, he may make some changes.
Remember LeBron's old teammate, Kyrie Irving? Is he already on his way out of Boston? We're going to
No mercy.
back to the NBA. I know you guys are excited.
I always want to see Ronaldo. There's no doubt.
and the best part, you don't have to be bilingual to watch. So there you go.
I'm gonna
Good,
get my
'cause I'm
bicycle
not.
kick going right after this.
Practice in a commercial break. We're going to go back to the NBA, guys. Kyrie Irving said Tuesday that signing an extension with the Celtics financially doesn't make any sense. Kyrie missed the entire postseason with a knee injury, but he can opt out after next season. The Celtics have also been rumored to be in the mix for free agent to be LeBron James. Kyrie was asked about a potential reunion and had a lukewarm response. He said, quote, "In this business, I've kind of experienced it all and I've seen a lot, so we'll see what management decides." Ooh, Chris.
That wasn't even lukewarm.
Ooh.
That was just like, come on. And look, I mean, we know that's a big part of why he left Cleveland, so, you know, it is what it is. But the Celtics need to be concerned about Kyrie Irving and his future there. For a few reasons. One, he will be a free agent, as you said, in 2019. He's not going to sign a contract extension, and I get it. He could lose anywhere from $80 to $100 million.
That's a no-brainer.
If he resigns.
Yeah.
Exactly, a no-brainer. So I have no problem with that. I'm sure the Celtics understand that. However, you can come out and say, no, I'm not signing now because it just doesn't make financial sense. However, I love it here. This is where I want to be long term. We got a great coach. We got great talent. It's a great organization. this is where I want to play for the next several years.
So you
he
want him to
gave
be
us
phony?
none of that.
No, that was going to be my ass.
No,
You want him to be
I
phony?
don't want
That's
him to be
what you
phony.
want.
Play the
I don't-
game?
No, I don't want him to be phony. Be what you are. Be honest. And apparently, he doesn't see Boston as the place he may stay long term. That's why they need to be concerned. Remember, Boston was not on the list that he gave to Cleveland when he wanted to be traded. It was New York, Miami, San Antonio, Minnesota. So the fact that he could walk away from you in a year and you get nothing in return should scare them. Game 7 against Cleveland, he wasn't on the bench. Now, he could have had that surgery weeks before and been able to be there for Game 7, or even later and been able to be there for Game 7. The fact that he wasn't there for Game 7, those are 3 reasons they should be concerned about his future. What they have to do, forget LeBron James. What Danny Ainge needs to do is sit down with Kyrie Irving, have a heart-to-heart. What do you see yourself here long term? I get it that you don't want to sign. You shouldn't sign right now. But we want to build around you. We want you to be a part of our championship future. Do you see yourself here 4 years from now?
This is what I
And
love.
if he can't give you that honest answer, then you have to explore trading him, because you can't let him walk for nothing.
But this is what I love about Kyrie. He's his own man. And he's not going to give you those answers that people are looking for to make them feel good when that's not really
It's
where
not.
he's not.
But that's,
No, but I'm saying,
fine if he's
so
not there, but
the
let
same-
me know.
The
So
same
I
way,
guess he's
the
letting
same
me-
way he told Cleveland, I don't want to be here with the greatest player on earth. I don't want to play with him anymore. So I respect that. Now, if I'm Boston, I'm not concerned. They just went to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost in 7 games, right? But they're not getting anywhere without Kyrie.
Well, they just got to the Eastern Conference
Yeah, but
Finals,
did
as
they
you
win
said.
it? Did they win?
But
They
how
didn't
can you
win.
not
Hold
be
on.
concerned
I'm
if
not.
you might lose him?
Because if they could get to the championship or win next year and Kyrie decides to move on, I'm fine.
How
I'm
are you
not-
fine?
I'm not getting rid of him prior to that because I'm trying to utilize him,
To get
Chris,
to the finals.
to get to the finals. So if I get Kyrie for 1
you don't
year,
think you can,
no.
you can trade for him.
I'm
If-
not trading him. Why would I trade him if I'm
So
trying
you
to
can
win?
get something in return. Look,
I'm
what
trying
did,
to
what
win
did the
now. I
Pacers
don't
do?
wanna care about 3
Paul
years
George
from
was
now.
out of there. Paul George was out of there. He was honest with them. Just like you said, Kyrie, I'm cool with being honest, but Paul George told them, look, I'm not going to re-sign here in Indiana.
There's a difference,
He
though.
allowed them to trade him. They got Victor Oladipo and actually improved.
But Chris, what's the difference? The difference is Kyrie's won a championship. He brings that championship pedigree to these young players in Boston. You won't win a championship as great as those guys played. They won 1 road playoff game during the playoffs, right? They won road playoff game, and that game,
I get that
Philadelphia
they're
gave
better.
it to
It's not
them.
like they're going to give Kyrie away. They would get something for
But
him.
what are you going to get?
what
Rob,
they
so
need.
you're saying you're worried about them losing him?
No, I'm saying if I'm Boston, I'm just going to hold on to him, make another playoff run, try to win a championship, and if he wants to bounce, let him bounce.
For nothing.
For nothing.
That doesn't happen in the
what do you
NBA.
think?
I'm with Rob. I'm not concerned about losing Kyrie Irving simply because the brand of what we're making up over here is not based on one player. It's evident. They're going to have success with or without Kyrie Irving. To your point, he puts them over the edge. Gordon Hayward now helps them and gets them over the edge. Potentially, it's yet to be seen.
Kyrie was healthy, they would have knocked LeBron out of the
I don't know if
playoffs.
they knock him off, but they
would've knocked
have
him
a
off the
better
playoffs.
I
shot
don't disagree
because
with
they
that.
have another weapon, a guy with experience who have been there in
Who
a
made
game
the
7,
big shot.
who has always been there clutch. So for me, it allowed them to see what they really have without Kyrie Irving. So I don't think that they're worried about it at all. To your point, yeah, you could get something for him and it would benefit you. But your team is built, number one, around Brad Stevens, not around a player, a specific player. This is a coach who we got him first. He's the longest tenured Celtic there. Outside of Marcus Smart, a player. Brad Stevens was there first, and they built the team around him, which you don't see this in sports anymore, building a team around a coach. This is the way the Boston...
It just kind of happened that way.
It did happen that way, and And they're rolling with it. And the trust that Brad Stevens has been able to put and give to these other players, the Terry Roziers, the Marcus Smarts, the Jason Tatums, Jaylen Brown, all these guys, they went from averaging 11, 14, and 15 in the regular season to 17, 19, and 18 in the playoffs. They got better. Not because Kyrie was not there, because they got embedded with trust. They got pushed to the limit by a LeBron James. They got more experience because the lack of presence of Kyrie being on the court. To your point again, I think Kyrie puts them over the hump.
I actually
look. Go ahead, John.
I don't mind the comments that he said to the media about playing with. I know it was a lukewarm response, but I actually think it was a smart response because no matter what he says, we're going to sit here and dissect it.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, as a player, you got to be smart when you're talking to the media and anonymous sources.
Number one, what he said about contractually is fact. Like it
About
just
not
it just wouldn't be.
I agree.
It wouldn't be smart. So there's your truth. And then
I think the whole thing was true.
Yeah, and then what he said about, or the lack of what he said, or information that he gave about playing with LeBron. Look, we know how he feels.
You want to know.
You know how I really feel. I don't have to tell you that. I left.
I'm in a green and white uniform now for a reason.
I get it, and I get where both of you are coming from. You know, they're a good team even without Kyrie Irving. And to your point, if you have Kyrie, you have a shot to get to the finals and maybe win a championship.
Just maybe.
next
I'm
year.
just saying. Right.
My point is this. He is also an asset. And if you lose him for nothing, that's the risk. I'm not saying I would want to trade. If I had my druthers in Boston, I would want to keep Kyrie Irving
let me throw
with this team.
But let me throw
I'm
this
just
out to
saying
you.
the chance that he could walk. Now, if he has dinner with Danny and says, I do want to stay here, I'm just not signing right now, but this is the place I want to be, you got everything I need, then there's no problem.
Okay, how about he stays with the young group, they win the championship, okay? I'm just throwing it out there, he wins the championship, and then it's up to, then if I'm Danny Ainge, A, I got what I wanted, which was to win a championship, and B, as Kyrie, that you got us to the mountaintop, are you now leaving to go somewhere else when you just help engineer, us winning a championship?
I get what you're
see
saying.
What I'm saying?
Yep,
So
yep.
if I'm Danny
That's
Ainge,
a risk. Are they
it
gonna
is a
win it?
risk. It
Are
is
they
a
your
risk.
favorite?
No, but I like them out of the East if he's healthy and the group that they had with the experience that they just got from this past playoff run.
I think we're kind of missing something here too, with him saying I've kind of seen everything in this business in regards to him playing with LeBron James again. Like, you talk about a meeting with Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge let it be known after the season. I think it's absurd that people think that we should just get rid of Kyrie Irving
a lot of
and don't
people
need
said
Gordon
that.
Hayward
Yep.
now. I think that's foolish. No, that's why we acquired them, so we can be better. Yeah. So Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics, they want to keep Kyrie Irving.
And he should.
But there's this looming cloud that LeBron James is available. LeBron James, what if that meeting happens and Danny Ainge needs to tell Kyrie Irving, look, we're not interested in LeBron James.
If he needs to tell, so
then
I think that would be a part of Kyrie.
Then I
saying,
think
okay,
Kyrie's.
I get you. Okay,
I think
that's a good
Kyrie's
point.
mentality changes now. I do want, but until you tell me that that's not even an option, my door's wide open too.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, look, a lot of people think Kyrie wants to be in New York. And obviously, like I said, they were one of the 4 teams on his list. He grew up in New Jersey, which is basically like suburban New York City.
And it says a lot that the Knicks have been horrible for decades.
Look, Kyrie is a guy that's got guts. He's got heart. He likes the big stage.
He believes in himself.
Exactly. He would seem to fit there. But the question, based off what you said, okay, what if LeBron James, his group, contacts Boston and says, we'd like to meet with you? And if LeBron James wants to play in Boston, would you trade Kyrie Irving? Because that obviously would probably be a prerequisite. I think LeBron would be willing to play with Kyrie, but vice versa, it wouldn't. So
I'm not so sure that Kyrie wouldn't be willing to play with LeBron. I don't think he wants to.
Exactly. Okay. If he had to.
But if LeBron came, he wouldn't be there, right?
That's what I'm saying. Well, He
So
could, but you could trade Gordon Hayward for LeBron straight up in a sign and trade.
See, I wouldn't do it.
I'm just saying I think it has to be one or the other. Would you give up Kyrie to get LeBron?
If I'm Danny Ainge, I say, with LeBron, we're going to go to the championship, but we won't win, so I wouldn't make that move.
Oh.
Wow. Wow. No.
So you think they have I'm going to challenge you on that. The Boston Celtics have a better chance of winning it with Kyrie Irving and this group than with LeBron James and that same group.
I would take Kyrie in this group. I would.
You just don't like
No,
LeBron.
that's
You just.
What?
That don't make no sense.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You
That don't
said
make
you
no sense.
believe LeBron James
You can't
is
even
the
say that
second
with a
best-
straight face.
Don't you think LeBron
Yes.
James is the second best player
But
of
he's
all
also
time?
long in the tooth, and we just saw.
He's not that long in the tooth.
We just saw the Celtics with no stars, a starless Celtics team, push LeBron James to a 7th game.
With-
it was nip and go.
Who's the best player in the
and
world
wait a minute,
right now?
they lost. LeBron James, but they lost.
Rob, I think you just like to rile him
Then
up.
how could you
Celtics
not
lost.
want him?
You know why they lost that? You know why? They missed 31 out of 37.
That's because the
three-pointers.
old in the tooth, LeBron James was
that's
playing great
why-
defense.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was. He was
All right.
contesting.
You
just
guys,
made
we can
everything.
still continue
You
to
made
talk
your own
about
point.
LeBron in the next segment. We'll talk about whether or not he should take his talents to Philly. Jim Jackson is going to join us to discuss that next.
No mercy.
LeBron James can opt out of his current deal and become a free agent in a couple of weeks. Now, all the speculation is about where he'll go next. The betting odds give the Sixers the second best chance to land LeBron, but Charles Barkley does not think the King would be a good fit in Philly. Take a listen.
I just want to know if he's coming to the Sixers. Why?
He's not coming to the Sixers.
Why
He's
not?
fit with the Sixers because he needs the ball. Simmons needs the ball, and Embiid needs the ball. That would make Simmons, who's going to be a stud, I think. He'd be useless. He's not going to give the ball up at this stage of his career. He's not a great shooter, so you can't play him off the ball.
He
He's
was
not
a
going to change.
pretty good shooter in this year's playoffs.
Oh, dude, listen, I guarantee you, guys will let him shoot threes all night. Guys will love him to shoot threes when they would hurt Embiid and Simmons going forward.
All right, we are joined by FS1 NBA analyst Jim Jackson. Jim, what do you think? LeBron and Philly, is that a good fit?
I don't know. First of all, the last segment you had, I don't know. I'm stepping into the fire right now with all this Kyrie stuff and everybody getting heated. But Chris and I talked about the Philly situation because there is some talk that LeBron says that he wants to play off the ball. I think as you get older in your career, you want to work smarter, not harder. You want to make it so now mentally, I think you can play the kind of game and have the kind of fun that you want on the back end of your career. Does that translate in Philly? You got to think about the components that are already in place or won't be in place. When LeBron James goes to a team, one thing he demands is that he has shooters on the perimeter. Well, right now, Philly has a quandary because J.J. Redick is up. Okay, who do you have? Covington is up and down in his shooting. So if you were to have a LeBron James go and play off the ball in Philly, you don't have a lot of perimeter shooting right now. And in today's game, you got to be able to have guys that knock down jump shots. So I think in theory, it sounds great in regards to LeBron because of Rich Paul, Ben Simmons, but systematically, does it work? It makes sense if LeBron is playing off the ball. Can you go out and get other free agents that complement Ben Simmons, Embiid, and LeBron that can knock down shots?
But why? I think you're right from the standpoint of once they put that together, there might be guys who are shooters who say, look at what they got set up there. They might go on a run and could win a couple championships. I want to be a part of that. So because of Simmons being, we think it'd be rookie of the year, right? 18, 8, and 8. Embiid, what he can do. And then LeBron. We just saw LeBron with a bad Cleveland Cavaliers team go all the way to the finals, right? So you would say you add these two up-and-coming stars, and from LeBron's standpoint, long-term, they might carry me down the road because their stars shoot up. So I like it. I think that it does work.
Dario Saric is, a pretty good shooter.
Gesundheit.
I don't know if they'd be able to keep Bellinelli,
that's the
Ersan
problem.
Ilyasova, and guys like that. But I think when we think of LeBron, and rightly so, but when we think of LeBron going somewhere, we think of everybody playing the way his teams have always played, him with the ball and then shooters around him on the perimeter. I think this would be totally different. I think Simmons would have the ball. I think, to your point, Embiid is obviously in the post and out. and LeBron is on the wings, on the elbows, sometimes in the post, moving without the ball, I think it would be totally different. Now, the question is, can he really make that adjustment? Even if he wants to mentally, you've been playing a certain way your whole life. If things go bad, is he going to take the ball from Simmons and start doing it his own way? So there are some complications, but like Chris Paul made the adjustment in Houston, I think LeBron could make the adjustment.
See, and I just don't see LeBron James making that adjustment when this has been who you've been since you've put a basketball in your hand. You've had it in your hand. You've initiated the offense. You've been the offense. And so to say now all of a sudden, yeah, you've developed a better jump shot, but playing off the ball and allowing Ben Simmons to facilitate to you looking as though you're a spot-up, that's not LeBron James.
Well, not a spot-up shooter.
I get, and then like creature of habit, like the game on the line. He's gonna go. He's gonna go back to what he knows.
And you know what it's gotten you? It's gotten you 3 and 6. So is that what you want?
That's a great point.
I'm serious. It hasn't gotten you what you want.
Look, LeBron dominating the ball with a bunch of shooters around him. You're gonna be a really good team, but you're not gonna beat the Warriors and other 5-man teams that move the ball. So maybe he should be open.
And Jim, what about the matchups with the size that Philadelphia would have against the Warriors? Wouldn't that be an advantage?
Well, it would be. Depends on how you use it. Keep in mind, like when Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, on the back end of their careers, they had something to go to. Even Kevin Durant. You can put Kevin Durant in the mid post, a high post, and he can operate in there. LeBron James, because for so long he never really developed that. His second year in Miami, he got on the post, okay, and he played extremely well. And I thought, okay, that's another level to his game as he gets older. As you know, you got to kind of tweak some things. But because you don't have that in-between game, now it takes away from what you can do as you get older. If you get to a team like a Philadelphia, okay, that is structured in a way where maybe you do have some shooters, maybe you don't, but you want to put LeBron in different positions, where do you put him? Okay? In the post, yes. Okay, but now you got Embiid, so you're going to put Embiid outside. Okay, so now you got to play with that a little bit more. I do think there's some free agents that are out there like Lou Williams, Danny Green, even Trevor Ariza, guys like that are open in the open market that you can start to structure around. But the question is always going to come back to LeBron James has always dominated the ball. We know that. At some point, he's going to want the ball in his hands. How does that affect Ben Simmons, who's not a shooter, okay, and Embiid? Because that's the point. I can see him and Embiid running the 3-5 pick and roll. That works perfectly. But the other components, especially
I'll say this, though. And I felt this way before, if LeBron is going to take the ball out of Simmons' hands for the most part, then if I'm Philadelphia, I'd rather go after Kawhi Leonard or even a Paul George. Because I think George would be a great fit because you don't have to worry about him handling the ball and all that.
But the only Paul George get you where you want to go, though?
I think they'd be a great team. I think they'd have a chance. Look, I'm with you. I would like to see LeBron go there under the determination that he's going to play off the ball. But even if he says he'll play off the ball, there is that tension of will he really do it?
How good are the Sixers if LeBron goes there?
I think they would be my favorite in the East. I mean, to get to the championship, and I just think that they match up with the Warriors. If you're trying to beat them shooting threes and whatnot, but they would have a hard time with a small lineup against those bigger guys in Philly. That's why I would like it. I'm not saying it would be automatic that he would win, but I think he would be closer with a chance to win. And I saw this team, make some big strides last year. We talked about it. When Embiid went down, they won 15 in a row. I don't care who you're playing in the NBA. 15 in a row is 15 in a row with just Simmons and no Embiid. It tells you about something. Tells you about Simmons' leadership. Tells you about, how he grew up and didn't just crawl into a ball because he lost his big man. I like that. And then you add LeBron and all his experience to those guys. Those guys become better because they got a guy that they know that they can count on. I just think there's no perfect scenario for LeBron, perfect. So if you look at it and you have to massage something, I'd rather massage some young and upcoming stars who have a big upside.
To your point, let's look at some of the other scenarios. If LeBron goes to the Lakers, Lonzo Ball presents the same problems that Ben Simmons would. And although he's just not as good as Simmons. He needs the ball in his hands too. So you're talking about LeBron being off the ball. If you get rid of Lonzo and you bring in Chris Paul, same thing. Chris Paul is going to have the ball. So LeBron's going to be playing off the ball. If he goes to Houston, James Harden. That's what I'm saying. Even if he goes to Boston, Boston has a system. I don't think they would just build around LeBron and have him create for everybody. I think he would still fit in and be the leading scorer, obviously, but he would fit in. So I think wherever he goes, it's not going to be the typical LeBron does everything and everybody plays off.
I think a lot of it has to do with his trust with who he has alongside of him. You mentioning a Chris Paul, he trusts Chris Paul with the ball in his hands. I don't know.
Will Chris Paul be there when it's crunch time at the end? Because
that's a huge.
But before Chris Paul got hurt, he showed that he could play. So he took, I think, a step and he answered that question.
But all the playoffs the last few years.
But this year, before he got hurt, but you always got to have him. To your point too about having the ball in his hands. When you build a team around LeBron James, that's what you're going to have to deal with. I mean, you're going to have to deal at some point or another. Unless something happens dramatically, athletically, that he goes down, he's always going to have the ball. So I think it's a great point that you have, Chris, that no matter where he goes, if you have a point guard, that's why particularly when he was in Miami, Chalmers really wasn't a point guard.
Right.
Dwayne Wade really wasn't. Finally, when he got what Kyrie was one that dominated, and we saw what happened. He got off the ball.
And then Kyrie left.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the challenge of having LeBron, and like you say, he's gonna always have the ball.
I like to have that problem, though.
Oh yeah,
I like to have that problem.
Exactly.
To try to figure it out by having the best player on my team.
You asked how good would the 76ers be? I think they would be the favorites to come out of the East.
They come out of the East.
Oh,
Can they beat the Warriors?
I don't know. I don't know if they beat the Warriors.
I think they could. I mean, we
so
see how the season played out. But let me say this quickly. Ben Simmons, when did Philadelphia have a lot of success against Boston? When T.J. McConnell was running the point and Ben Simmons was off the ball.
Very true. Exactly.
So even though he can't shoot, there's other ways to play off the ball.
But it was decision-making, too, because you got to understand that Ben Simmons is a hybrid point guard. He didn't play point guard. Magic Johnson played point guard since high school. So he understood how to make critical decisions in late-game situations.
All right.
Ben Simmons didn't.
Yeah. Guys, we have to wrap this up because Jim has to get back to class. Are the Ravens making a mistake by putting Lamar Jackson at positions other than quarterback? We'll discuss that with Jason McIntyre next.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back again tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.